here at the manufacturing facility where we're getting a bunch of our Project AD products made currently, and here with the quality master himself. So we've had a few issues getting some of these materials through. It's the first run with our new manufacturers. You're probably quite aware we've had a lot of out of stocks this last year, and that's been due to failures with our old manufacturer. We've actually had 2 manufacturer switches in the last 2 years after having 2 manufacturers for the first 13 years of business. So it's been quite stressful and quite traumatic having to move and then move again, because every time you move, you have to source the materials again. You have to do the flavor systems again. It's a big upheaval, and to do that twice in 2 years is probably why some of you watching who are very loyal customers, and we're very thankful for your support and you continue to support us. It's why we've had so many out of stocks, and it's been beyond our control. But thankfully now we've got to a place where it's local. I can be in here, and the guys have been so welcoming and made me feel welcome and allowed me to get a little bit more involved than a typical customer would do, like involved in supply chain, which is what my degree is in purchasing and supply chain management, and always had good links. And it's actually really been quite good and quite fun for me to get back into the front end of the business, because historically with Project AD we were known for innovation, we're also known for quality. And how can we make our products such high quality and still keep a reasonable price point? And that's because with the first 2 manufacturers who I was with for a long time, they allowed me this same pleasure that I've got now, and that's full transparency of raw materials and having the ability to put my own raw materials in if we can get better pricing. So doing all this front end work with the supply chain allows us to save money and put better materials in there and more quality in there, and then still keep that price point that's competitive with the rest of the brands. So this front end work is not done by any other brand that I know of. And I'm friends with lots of other brand owners, and they don't do it. They'll go to a manufacturer and ask for a product. A lot of them won't even give a formula. They'll ask for the manufacturer to give them an off-the-shelf formula. I need a pump product, I need this. I'm like, a pump product, I need at least 6 grams of citrulline. You sort the rest out, and they'll get a price, and they'll accept that price. We don't do that here. It's been very unique for our industry to come in and have open book transparency, and we agree on the margins, like how much we want to make, how much these guys want to make. Like, have you worked like that with many people before?
It's pretty rare, and it's relieving. Especially the first time to run projects or develop a relationship with a new partner. We're trying to, when you actually want to put out a good product that is efficacious, that you believe in, it translates to the entire process. It makes us feel happier to do your products because you believe what you're putting out there. Your clients, I'm sure your customers notice that too. Yeah. Like, it's not fugazi, right? There's a lot of chase that goes on in the industry. So it helps us a lot. And it's fun in a way. It's like solving a puzzle. Every product's a unique puzzle. Hey, we're having fun. Some people don't think it's fun, but I like it. Trying to figure out, hey, we don't encapsulate, or this product's not encapsulating because of X, Y, and Z. Are we okay making these changes here? I can make these changes to the environment, such as lowering the air conditioning.
Yeah, do you want to just elaborate on that? So we had a little delay on Toro test, which is the first run. And people don't realise, I had like my staff, hey, this is meant to be ready, this is meant to be ready. I'm like, this first run, there's always a process. And you had to do a lot of extra steps on your end and extra cost that those guys don't see. They just say, they think every product runs the same, but Toro test has a lot of different mesh, like larger bulk density materials, and they also clump when the humidity is like too high. So the air temperature and things and the concentration of the environment they're in makes a huge difference on how things run. So what do you have to
Absolutely. do? 3 products of yours we've had similar issues with Ravenous, Shreddable, and Toro test. And what we'd have to find out is, all right, maybe Ravenous runs better when we are able to get a room sub 15% humidity or 20% humidity, which is pretty dry, especially in South Florida. We noticed, for example, we had a cold front recently. Everything was colder, everything was drier. So we had our guys work overtime that week. Okay. Hey, this product's going to run really well now. we've got some verifiable data. Now in the future, we can also time things a little better, or we can know that we have to add a second dehumidifier to a room to help do it, but you have to go through it to learn it first. It's not, there's so many variables in what makes a product run well on any given day. External like the weather, or internal such as, hey, this machine has this much force being applied by these tamping pins. This machine is a heavier machine, it can actually apply more force to get it in the capsule properly. Sometimes you actually want less force, and we have to, it's just essentially a lot of testing and really research and development to figure out, hey, we know we want this percentage of silica dioxide in a product, for example, or this much of this excipient on this machine, runs better in these environments. We're gonna get a product out that meets label claim, that is out in a timely manner, and makes everyone happy.
Yeah, I mean, we went through this heavily with nitrox because we were the first company to put 5 grams of Hydromax in a product, and that's hydroscopic as shit. I mean, that would clump. There was only one product out really before. I think Purus Labs had Noxibol or something that had 3 grams of glycerol monostearate in a small container. Every one of them would go rock hard. So for us to put the 5 grams of the Hydromax in was a big deal at the time.
That is a big deal.
And it was a lot of testing, a lot of drying agents that went in there to get it to where it is. And then it became then it became industry standard. But like when we're talking about Ravenous, Shreddable and Toro test, we have some pretty unique materials in there. So it's again, when we formulate, we're not just putting the same materials in as everybody else. So it's not a off-the-shelf formula that a lot of manufacturers will, okay, this runs, we know. We've got some variable materials in there coming from different sources that have not been worked with before, and they're not too common, like the methoxyisoflavone and things like that. Not really in any formulas in the US. It was big in Europe, like years and years and years ago, but that was formulated in 2009. We kept that formula, but not really worked with over here. So it's a learning process. You sending me the spreadsheet with everything on, and we're still trying to source things to make your business more efficient. The better we can make your business, if it's not related to AD, the better it is for everybody. And that's going like above and beyond. We do try to help you guys, and you do the same for us.
It helps a lot, especially because we're essentially an infant still. We're only 3 years old, give or take. And we didn't have someone helping us out really when we got started in this too well. We've had to learn on the fly. So learning how supply chain works and having someone like you come on board and help, not come on board as an employee, but really a partnership.
Well, no,
it helps.
It's a true partnership, and this is like what we talk about. Like I try and express to my team, because it's not the done thing in the industry. Everything in this industry, and in general in the Western world, it's very transactional. And it's like, I'll get what I need, and I don't really care about anything else, as long as I've got what I need. Whereas the way I've always done business, and I actually did my thesis on business relationships with the Chinese, and I worked with them while I was in university doing a placement year for Disney. So I was dealing with about 30 different suppliers in China, and I had agents in China, and I would consolidate and do the co-packing. I would have, so it was a full senior purchasing job as part of my university degree.
That's pretty cool.
Which is where I learned, if you work with people and give them time, trust, and if they do make an error and you don't throw them under the bus, then you get the loyalty back. And that's what taught me so much. So like we'll come in now, and it's not just our products. Like Adam, the owner, who is also in charge of the purchasing, he shares with me a full spreadsheet of every single material that the company buys. And if we can source them cheaper, we will. If I've got a contact that we can find them cheaper. I mean, they're used in AD products. But to me, if this makes those guys save some money, makes them more profitable, then they're going to reinvest that into their business, which is going to benefit us because they can grow, they can improve the machinery, they can scale. And maybe that's just, maybe I'm just an outlier when it comes to that. But if you're working as a true partnership in a business and you're invested in each other, you want everybody to win. And this is why you'll see brands fail often, and why we've been around for 15 plus years. It's because we invest in people and we get that loyalty back. But you don't see that. Everyone wants to just take from the table, and it's not interested in putting food on the table for everybody to eat. So finding that here we're very lucky, to be honest, because open book. Like, this is why we're doing this. Like, this is why we're showing it. This is why I'm doing the YouTube channel, obviously to educate and help with all the stuff that I've learned. Also, for you to see some of the things behind the scenes with a brand that can go wrong, and we don't flap. This is something that I talk about a lot on my social media. If you follow, it's like operate my business on the edge of chaos, because the environment can always change very rapidly, and you need to be responsive to change. So when our last manufacturer completely fucked us, be brutal and just say they completely fucked us, we had to move quick. And finding these guys, I mean, I met with Tom once and then I met with Adam, and after that first meeting with Adam we ended with a hug and we were on the same page, you know, and we forged a relationship really quickly and got a good level of trust. And then from there it's just, I would come up every week, unless I was in Dubai obviously, come up every week, and it's been continuous. We just tick one box, move on to the next one, tick one box, move to the next one. But we keep refining, so it's like we'll always keep going and refining. Can we get better materials? Can we get unique novel materials? Can we drive some more cost out of the supply chain? Can we make it leaner for everybody? And again, this is something that I hope, if you have got a business, that you take something from. It may take a little bit more of your time and investment, but you ain't going to be bouncing from one person to another, and you're not going to get yourself a reputation for being someone who is there to take, because people who are good in business, if you get yourself that reputation, simply will not want to work with you. I mean, I'm sure you guys have had some customers that you've chosen to fight.
we have, I don't want to say their name to avoid
of course,
a lawsuit. Yeah. We have customers we adore. There's a few of them that we are very fortunate enough to have a deep relationship, but we genuinely care about that. We want them to be successful, even in their other areas that aren't necessarily supplements. And that real human connection and being a virtuous person, it goes a long way. And we're trying really hard at this company to do that with every one of our clients and be as transparent as we can and open that door that if you want to work this hard, you can. Very few do, so I'm very happy that you actually took advantage of it and you want to be here.
Well, it's, again, I mean, I'm looking forward to Joey coming down and you to me, because he doesn't see any of this, and he'll be like, why don't we just go to X, Y, and Z? Why don't we go to one of these big guys? I'm like, the big guys will give you a good price and they'll promise you a lead time, and as soon as you're through the door, you'll go to the back of the queue.
Yep.
And it's everyone's taking, this is the biggest thing for me. This is one of the big takeaways, guys. And it's like, when I've invested so much of my time, energy, and knowledge into formulating unique products, and that's why we keep a couple of proprietary blends. We're not hiding anything, but Shreddable and Matador, they've been around and they work so well. Like, Matador's 15 years old, and no one can still really hit our blood glucose readings. I am not going to trust a big manufacturer with my formula that I spent years perfecting. And Shreddable was a bitch. Like, I was sweating my ass off from that, and like I was in bed like, yeah, I was the guinea pig for that. No one else would be the guinea pig. But why would I go and give that to a big manufacturer? Because I've seen it happen before. All they will do is, this is selling well, this is a great formula, and offer it to the rest of the customer base.
That happened at sorry to interject, but at my prior company I worked at, it was the retail side. We noticed that all the good SKUs, like, we could never break a certain sales level, and we found out that the manufacturers were actually counterfeiting our products.
Yeah.
And not even using a new label, they were using the same label. We found the label company sent us the invoice on accident.
Oh wow.
To us in South Florida. We found out that they were cloning the products in North Carolina because they had the label connection, and people get greedy. And that's why I used that word virtuous a little bit ago. Like, I haven't been in the industry that long, but I've been in it long enough to know a lot of people they just want to take real quick, hit and run, and whatever, people move on to the next thing. And I don't like that exists in our culture, and that's why we're drawn to, I'm trying to use the word partner as cheesy as it is instead of client, because I'm drawn to people who want to actually work with us and do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a transactional relationship versus a real relationship, and there's a huge difference in business. And if it's transactional, then there's no security for anybody either. Because, like, and again, I'm going to mention Joey again, because it's like, sometimes it's not his fault because he hasn't been exposed to it, but he doesn't understand, like, why would you not go to someone who's big and making for a lot of the big brands? It's like, you're going to get bumped. You're not going to be the most important person there. I mean, not that any customer's like the most important. You have some big accounts and they'll pull rank, but I can pick up a phone or drop a WhatsApp or a voice note to any one of these guys and just say, hey, we really need to get a hustle on this one SKU. Can you pull a rabbit out of the hat for me and push it to the front of the line? And more often than not, the answer will be yes, we'll do all we can to facilitate that. Whereas you wouldn't even get an answer, or it'd be your lead time's 12, 16 weeks. It's like I put a PO in and say, hey, we've got a hustle on this one, it's hot. Do you think we can push it through in 6 weeks? And I think we'll just push good morning through in 4 weeks. This latest PO,
4.5,
which is insane. Any standard lead time with anybody else, like the big companies, 12 weeks minimum. You're like pushing 16.
I want to be clear, that's not the norm. In case people watch this up.
It's like, oh, these guys do 4.5 week lead times.
Yeah. If we have a good relationship with you and
well, we'd run that product before.
we've run the product before, we know we
supply
can do
chain was
it.
not complex, was it? So
we gave some people some OT, we moved some things around as a way to like, hey man, Joe's done a lot of right by us and he's been really helping us out.
we can
We'll
even
throw
tell.
some
You can
showers.
even tell now what the type of people. Yeah, he's very. Like, you can say 4.5 weeks is very quick to say, hey, we don't do that. I don't think.
I don't want to mislead someone.
Exactly.
I don't.
And not many people would correct that. They're like, okay, we get some extra business. Who knows? But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a peek behind the curtain as to relationships in manufacturing and some things that can go wrong, because none of you guys understand this because you're not exposed to it. You know, so when things may be out of stock for a while, sometimes it can be just the shortage of a raw material. Sometimes it can be an issue with the manufacturer. Sometimes it can be an oversight by the brand. Very rarely that happens, but it's just it's good. And I think if the resounding theme comes up, because I think the last 3-4 videos that you'll see on the Apex Directive channel, it's all surrounding relationships. I think you'll see I'm all about relationships, whether it's business, personal. And the way I conduct business is always face to face. You see the video that we just dropped in Dubai, that's traveling halfway around the world to conduct business face to face. It's a business partnership and a friendship. And if you want sustainable business with a long-term future, I suggest that you look at your relationships and make sure that they're solid and that you're both equally invested, or else it's going to be a short-run thing. Okay, so we are doing some flavour testing for the Aminator. This is my main man, Jeremy. We've got some pretty cool synergy going on. It's one of my favourite parts of the job, and it tastes good.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's the best client we have in terms of knowing the actual chemistry of products, knowing exactly what flavors he's looking for.
Oh, okay. What's the breakdown on it, dude?
360 sucralose, 1400 citric, about 400 orange powder, and then 440 of the citrus SNS powder.
The citrus or the SNS orange.
Yeah, it's citrus orange powder, not the raw orange powder.
Bump it by 150.
The citrus?
Yeah, and
Okay.
then you can pull down the orange powder by 100.
Really? Okay.
It's sweet enough,
Yeah.
but we're getting that on the back end. I don't think more citric's going to help either.
Okay.
Yeah, let's try that. I don't think malic will help either.
Yeah.
It's just that
It's already pretty sour.
it's very sweet, but it's on that back end we just get that little kick. I'm not
I
really
get
getting the orange to pull through.
I get that. Yeah.
The orange powder gives it that nice little bit of tartness,
Mhm.
but I think we need the actual orange flavour to come through.
Alright, let me try.
You're
that.
getting like the orange at the front end.
I am. Yeah.
So this is the cool part. I mean, obviously I've been flavouring stuff for a lot of years, and it is one of the fun things, but it gets exhausting. So when I used to go out to our old manufacturer on the West Coast and go in and flavour stuff, you can only do so much because you get like flavour fatigue of the mouth. So it's like after doing like 5 or 6 versions of it, you have to have a complete break because like you just can't tell any difference between it. So there's kind of a glass ceiling on how many products you can do at one time before your taste buds give out and you need a break and come back and do it again. But this is probably one of the fun parts of doing it when you're dialing a flavour, and it's the same with the nuts. It's that trial and error, but when you get there, and it is really satisfying when you do release a product and people are like, wow, that flavour is really good. Because the AD, I'll be brutally honest, like the first like 8-9 years of the company, when we were doing powders and we started making our capsules, we were known for having shit flavours. Because our formulas were strong and I wasn't really being able to get into the lab because I'd be living in England. So for me to get a new sample made, I would have to like get it air freighted over, communicate. So it could take like 6 months to get a flavour dialed in, and you just don't have that time. So having the ability now to come in here, take a drive up, work with Jeremy, I think last week or the week before, we knocked out like 4 or 5 different flavours within an hour, you know, and that used to take 3-4 months when I was living in England and like manufacturing over in the States. So again, it just comes down to having those relationships and being geographically close by has just been a huge game changer for us.
Let's try this.
It makes me nervous when so we have like this, Jeremy's awesome to work with, but often he will try it first and not say anything, like because he's walking.
I don't want to bias your judgment.
I'm trying to read his body language and it comes up and I'm like, it's a good one, right? It's like, if I get a little smile, I know that it's a winner, but he hasn't tried this one first, obviously, so my game is not working anymore.
You getting more of the orange this time?
I'm getting more of the bitter through. That back end is strong.
Yeah. I could bump up the bitter blocker. Right now I have them at like 250 each.
Yeah. Let's just go to the extreme. Bump up the bitter blocker and put the orange powder back up, and then increase it from the original 100 milligrams.
Okay.
And let's say, I know it's probably not going to be ideal when
What
it
about
comes
sweeter? Any sweeter?
No, I don't think so. Because, in fact, I would pull the sweetener down. What's in there?
360.
Pull it down to 300.
Okay.
Because what happens when we go sweeter on these aminos? That aftertaste comes through more. So we need more acidity, if anything.
Okay. The citric still at 1400.
Yeah, try bumping it to 16 and see so we get more flavour and more citric, and see if we get rid of that bitterness on the back end.
Okay.
And then we can refine. If we get rid of the bitterness on the back end, we know we're moving in the right direction.
Oh. Try that.
Like the aminos, guys, like the hardest thing to flavour. It's like when we're doing Good Morning, that's pretty simple. Nitrox is pretty simple. So that's why we're kind of restricted on some of the flavours we can do, because of our formula with the aminos. It's not just the aminos, but the L-carnitine. It's disgusting. I challenge any of you to go and buy some L-carnitine powder and try it and not want to vomit. It's like having gone off fish. It's pretty rancid, so trying to get that in there, it's the bane of my life. It seemed like a good idea at the time to put L-carnitine in a formula, which does make sense, it's a great product, but it's like shit.
The quality control check. We have checkpoints everywhere through the process. It starts at receiving material. We have about 13 items people go through on a checklist just to get the box inside of the door. And everywhere along the way, from storage, from staging, pre-weighing, /pharmacy, to actually mixing the product and then running it through our system, we have a stop, check it, and make sure it's good. There's a lot of moving parts that goes into a product like this. It's not just the individual ingredients. It's the scoop size, the desiccant size, the bottle size, or the bottle safe. Are they contaminated? Is the right lid? Are the lids ribbed? Are the lids smooth? Do the lot numbers in each ingredient match what the inventory software said to use? Things like that. We're closer to the end now. You've seen a lot of the QC checks have already passed. I'm just making sure, hey, it's the right bottle, right lid, everything looks good. It's usually a pretty simple check. We don't make too many mistakes here. It'll probably take me 30 seconds just to look through it, check some things off.
And check and see everything making weight, watch everything being filled, and also it's like, the cool thing is here we have our retains. So that's every production run that we do, we keep a retain here at the manufacturer. So if we ever have an issue, like we did at the old manufacturer, we had a run of Good Morning and the orange flavour was not the same as before. So we can immediately track that batch, pull a retain, which we have, get the batch number and find out what the issue was. Obviously here, we haven't had any issues, everything's been running smooth, it's been awesome. But in the event that there is something, we have full traceability, we have a sample of every single batch that's run here. So full traceability, any comebacks, we have a way of product recall, we know exactly what's been going on. And that, David will tell you about the external testing that goes on before we release the product, but I'm going to go in now and check this out. So that's where you have the fill, it's hand put into the fill machine and then it makes weight. The machine automatically kicks out, then it goes through the scale, make sure that everything hits weight. The silica, the scoop's put in, the lid place on top, and it goes through the heat seal, and you're already going through the label to David's end, who then will talk to you a little bit about the QC.
Cool. Just for form QC, I know we talked about it a second ago. Everything looks good. We have a couple bottles where the label's a little misaligned. It's pretty standard when you first start a drop. We'll make a little adjustment on the label and be fine. Probably no one would ever notice it, but I try to be like super
Perfection,
anal. Yeah, just in case. But everything looks good. They're ready to crank it out.
So when that's all done, we then don't release products until we get third-party tested.
No, I know a lot of clients sometimes don't like that, but we have to be food safe. At the end of the day, it's our responsibility with safety first for both our staff and the consumer.
Yeah.
We need to make a product that meets specifications, purity, assay, composition, heavy metal, and micro. We do not want anyone getting sick. We want to make sure what's in the product matches what's on the label. And without fail, it's not leave the product until that result comes back.
So a lot of companies might not use a GMP, a certified lab, and the external testing will not potentially be done. So if you have any bacteria, any microbials in there, you have no idea and there's no comeback. So always make sure if you're buying a brand that it's made at a GMP facility and the GMP is actually being adhered to, because even if you've got GMP certification, things can get slipped through the cracks, and I've known manufacturers that don't do the third-party external testing, or sometimes they'll budget. But I can tell you, obviously we're in here, it gets done, and we wait for 4 or 5 days, and we get the frustrated customers who are waiting. But better to be safe than sorry, and if there's any comebacks, we have the third-party testing, we have the retains, we're all covered, we're doing things to the best of our ability. These guys are making sure everything is absolutely by the book, and you guys get the best quality products and the safest products on the market.
Thank you guys.